Hi, everyone, and welcome again to the Untangled Journal. I'm Jan, and we continue the 365 Prophecies of Jesus series. Today we are on prophecy number 12, and our main scripture is Isaiah 53, verse 1 to 3. The prophecy summary is that the Messiah would be rejected and despised. Now, this prophecy was given roughly 700 years before Christ through Isaiah to the people of Judah. That means these words were spoken long before the time of Jesus. Isaiah 53 is part of what is often called the suffering servant passage, where God's rescue is shown through a servant who would suffer, be misunderstood, and be rejected. Isaiah 53, 1 to 3 says the servant would not be welcomed with applause. He would be despised, rejected, and looked over, and people would not recognize his worth, his beauty, or his majesty. So in plain words, he would not be what people expected the Messiah to look like. On the page, I've listed John 1:11 and John 12:37 to 38. And John says that he came to his own and his own did not receive him. And John also connects Isaiah's words to the unbelief of the people, even after Jesus had performed signs. Now, if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can also write down the following scriptures, which you would find in Luke 23, verse 18 to 23. Also Mark 6, verse 3 to 6. Matthew 21, which we're going to speak a little bit about, verse 42, and Acts 4, verse 11. You can look those up in your own time. These all show the same pattern, that Jesus came as the promised Messiah, yet many rejected him. And that is New Testament fulfillment of the prophecy. I just wanted to speak a bit about the rejected stone. I especially wanted to mention Matthew 21:42 and Acts 4:11 because they give us the picture of the rejected stone. Jesus says, the stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. And Acts 4:11 says the same thing about Jesus. He is the stone rejected by the builders, but chosen by God. Now, in my Bible footnote in Matthew 21:42, it points back to Psalm 118. You can go and read this as well. Psalm 118, verse 22 and 23. And it says, the very stone the masons rejected as flawed has turned out to be the most important capstone of the arch, holding up the very house of God. The capstone of the arch, or the keystone, is the center stone at the top of an arch, and it locks the other stones into place. So without it, the arch may look almost complete, but it cannot truly hold together. And as the cornerstone, Jesus is also the foundation stone, so the one we build on. So the rejected stone was not optional or decorative. He was the essential stone, the one everything depends on, and the one everything must be built on. So for our drawing today, you're going to need some paper just to practice on. You will need your pencil, a blending tool, your eraser, and your micron pen or some fine liner pen. We're going to draw an arch with the keystone missing with an X in its place. And that missing keystone represents the rejection, but it also helps us see the one people rejected was the one everything depended on and the one we are called to build on. All right, so here goes. You're going to start by drawing an arch, like so. And then you want to add another, you want to follow that same line. Okay. And then you will add a thinner line on the inside. All right. And then you will put you could put a floor in if you wanted to. And then you will just add a line straight across. And then you will add a line going up diagonally. And you'll do the same on this side. So a line across and a line going up diagonally. Same here, a line across and diagonally up. Line across and a line going up diagonally. Okay, and then it will all right. Now this is where we get to the keystone or the capstone. So it's usually it's a bit larger than the others. All right, so this gives the depth, if you can see it. Then we're going to take an X, we're going to bring a V in from the top and a V from the bottom, and then take it in and take it out. Okay, so that's our X. So now when we pen this in, when we ink it in, we are not going to include the keystone. So you'll fill in all the lines that don't include this part. All right. So we'll take this line. Okay, and the inside line as well. And then you can ink in the X, showing that they rejected that part. All right, now let's go and erase our pencil. And let's go add some shading in. So we're going to put our shading on the right hand side of this middle line. And when you blend it in to the right. Okay, let's also go and put some pencil around our X so this part stands out. And then we'll go and add pencil to the outside of our arch. I don't know if any of you have watched Survivor. When they play those games, there's always one that involves an arch. And it always amazed me how the winning team would figure it out and the arch would stand up, and it was because of this keystone that was present. So without this keystone, this arch actually wouldn't be able to stand. And that's what everybody rejected, the keystone. All right, so let's go take this and add it to our PDF. If you need a copy of this, let me know. I'll be happy to email this through to you. Okay, so we start by adding, we can start on the line. Let's make this line our base or our floor. So we'll add an arch, another arch, follow the line. Well, this arch is looking a little bit wonky. And then one on the inside, a thinner line. can always fix it with our pen. Go. Okay, and then here comes the capstone, and we can make it slightly higher. And then we go add in our V's, and that becomes our X. All right, let's go ink this in. And this will come all the way down. So we're not going to ink that in. Okay, and our X. Going to erase the pencil. And let's go add our shading. So we're going to put the pencil on the right hand side of that middle line. On this side it would be on the left hand side. Let's blend that in. Give it a little bit of depth. Add pencil to the outside. And we'll add it to the outside of our X. Go. And there you have it. I've just used a little bit of lead that's already on my blending tool just to outline where the capstone or the keystone would have gone. Give it a little bit of a shadow. Okay, and there we have it. So I will see you tomorrow, same time, for prophecy number 13. Bye, guys.